Good afternoon, as the astronaut says. Good afternoon. So, I must say I slept terrible. It was terrible. I mean, I didn't sleep very well, and mostly I woke up like dazed and confused. Um, and then I ate a little bit of, breakfast, and it only made me feel worse. And then there was like an attack, like, by Starship, and like huge brain fog ensued, but like luckily, I mean, with the help of God, I managed to counterattack relatively quickly. So I mean, not immediately because there was like it was like a combined attacks, and so גם שכנים ואחרי זה הצטרפו, עם הרעש שהם עושים. I mean, Israel is hell. I mean, certainly, everything related to noise is unbearable. So like so they coordinated so the neighbors will join the chorus of cacophonia. I mean, so you will not be able to to thwart the attack and launch like a counter strike. But this was already. But this I think they're weak because like the I say the preventative measures against counter strike were actually not placed well by the enemy. So eventually, like I managed to to conduct a counter strike with relatively not a huge amount of effort. Scientifically saying, look, this construction that is outlined yesterday, of course, put in place. I mean, I'm pretty confident, like that. I mean, that's like it's correct, like it's a bit correct. Like I mean, it's one of those that I'm very I've been having microscopic. I mean, the good thing about the Zelda game that I'm totally the Zelda 64 game that I'm totally new to it, like, and it's people playing it against me all my life. But I mean, the good thing about it is that like the rules. I mean, like I mean, there is like the general rules of the terrains, and the objectives. And this actually is kept like a huge secret, and the problem is that I didn't know nothing about it. But there is like, in addition to it, there is like the action. There is in addition to the rules, there is like the like to the general outline of the game. There is or the strategy. There is like the tactics, like which is like attack and defense, and this fortunately is. I mean, for me it's obvious, and I mean there is for me there is no doubt about it. Like it's almost that doesn't even need to prove it. That these are all predicated on like regular, like vectors of the Neo language that I that's what I studied in the last 3 years, and this is discussed at length in this channel. So, with the sole exception that but there is kind of a tweak here, a little bit of tweak that it's done like like it's a mirror game. Like that in the Zelda game is like one of the mirror games that you do. You stand against somebody, not necessarily one person. Could be a group of people, but it's you against somebody or against a group of people, and then so every kind of construction, or what they call vector, is always double. There's like a vector for you and the anti-vector for the enemy. And he or she or they are also they have their own terms to do so. But when I construct this thing, it's like I've constructed actually two things, like one like that, and the other is exactly the opposite. Now again, it doesn't mean that, like every trained bacteria that I presumably reduced from my body is created in some other guy's body. No, because there is the amplification of the neurons. Like the more neurons, you kind of like burn in the process. I call it burn, even though it's not burning really. It should be investigated what's actually happening, because what happens is that you lose the neurons. It's in the mixture, and then it's not there. But the physical process is not clear to me. Like one way to do it is just to evaporate the mixture, either by burning or by steaming, which is kind of high temperature. So then it's lost. But I mean, what actually happened to the Neos, I don't know, because they can sustain tremendous amount of temperature, the Neos itself, but not the mixture. So what you do is you waste the mixture. And then, I mean, it can be amplified tremendously, like the coefficient, of the other, of the anti-construction. But other than that, the constructions to me, it's obvious that they are the same, like we've investigated in this channel in the last 2 years, and even before that, like, the Evernote account, Twitter back then account. So this, I'm confident about this one, but what I've done is that when I want to sleep, I don't know why I dressed like in black, which was stupid. If you remember, I was always like in white, and then I don't know why I dressed in black. So during the night, I probably, I just, like, join the enemy, and again, to say, the enemy are not, the woman that you've seen, in front of me. Just so we are clear. I have nothing against them or their lookalike, as you know very well from whatever time in your life, in my life, in the last 20 and something years. I mean, they were never my enemies, these women. But it's again, you don't, place in front of you, just so we're clear, if you want to neutral the symbolic language, you don't place in front of you, specifically your enemies or something like that. No, it's like, it's a way to create a group, to demonstrate a group. And the group does not necessarily include the actual individuals. Many times it's the opposite. That the group is, it depends on the nuances of the language, but many times, the group is built by the common properties of the individual minus the individual that is used to create the group. This is common in the Neo language. It might sound like convoluted, but it makes sense, I would say, mathematically. The language should be consistent, like any other language. One of the main properties of the language is that it's consistent. Otherwise, it would have been very, very difficult to master it, but it's consistent. In that way, it's like a programming language, even more so than native languages. Even though native languages, natural languages should also be consistent, but programming languages must be super consistent. It's like a huge demand of a language. And in that sense, any language is like that it's consistent. So in order to conform with also rules, sometimes, there are also things that might be, counterintuitive, but actually there is a mathematical, reason for that, for the idea of, that the group contains, every object, that is kind of a property that is dictated by, a finite set of individual items, the common characteristics of finite set of individual items, but these items are actually not part of the group. אוקיי? כמו לדוגמה, אני יכול להגיד, חסידה, נחליאלי וטווס. תיצור מזה קבוצה, ואז הקבוצה תהיה כל בעלי הכנף, מלבד חסידה, נחליאלי וטווס. אוקיי? בהנחה שמשהו משותף לשלושה האלה זה שבעלי כנף. שזה נראה לי נכון. It's got there is again, these things are, there is mathematical reasoning for that, but it's not of tremendous importance right now. Because there is always the issue of consistency. When you explain, why, some rule, is enacted the way it is. Many times it's not just, the internal logic of the rule with regards to the environment or the natural world, but also you need to take into account the other rules that are part of your systems, and they should all act together. Okay. Anyway, the problem with this, so I think that what happened, is that I was infecting myself with some amount of bacteria during the night. But I think that I actually received help from one of the friendly Starships. There aren't many like that, but fortunately there always have been more than zero. This is, I think, maybe one of presumably the say the roots of the common myth of the team, who is behind you. So no, it's stupid. Like I don't have I don't have anybody behind me besides Akadosh Baruch Hu V'nu Shu B'Shamayim. This is ridiculous. And no, I do not. I'm not on anybody, and I do not need to get the tip from anybody. Having said that, throughout my life, I am almost 41. I mean, I don't say that nobody ever helped me. This is ridiculous. Of course, I mean, I live in the earth. I mean, there was some kind of, here and there, a good, person, like, not many, like, embarrassingly few. Like, I mean, this is like tres mil versiones de Judas, as I always say. Like, not 3 versions of Judas Iscariot, but 3,000 versions. Like, everybody's like in this country is Judas. But yes, I mean, you get some help. I mean, sometimes, and even that, I mean, can mean a lot because you're always under attack. Anyway, today, we'll continue with with the same constructions regarding the train. Maybe we'll switch to electricity-based contraptions that are much friendlier, not just to the environment, but also by the fact that you can just go to sleep and keep it like connected all night. Unlike with anything that is related to candles, that I mean you cannot just keep unguarded. That's another huge advantage of electricity. By the way, it's not always true because some actual electrical. I mean, it's true to some extent, but I mean, there is also the question of there is the issue of where the energy that is being used by the symbol, because when the symbols are energized, it tremendously affects the general effect, I would say, the cumulative effect of the construction. But what does it mean to energize the symbol? This is discussed in channel. I don't want to repeat myself. I just say that, I mean, you need resistance. But then again, so what happens? I mean, to the energy. Okay, resistance means that some work is being done. But what's happened? So so the basic answer is heat. But then so you have basically the same problem with what you have with fire, even though less so. But still, if you do not construct, the circle, with this thought, with this consideration in mind, what you will get is like a circuit that is either, just to create like a shortcut, and maybe even can affect, the grid, or what you get is just, an electronic stove, and then, there is a question of, so, and you need to deal with the results, and then, it's also back to the question of, how can we keep it, unguarded, presumably during the night. And it's not there is no trivial answer to that. There might be other ways, to dissipate, not the heat, but the energy, to create, some kind of, a symbol that consumes electrical energy, but does not transfer to heat. For example, kind of like a magnetron, you use the electrical energy, maybe to create a varying mechanical forces, that are created by magnets. This might be less